This video was brought to you by the TLDR socials. Get more from TLDR by following us on Instagram and Twitter, where we post explainers that never make it to YouTube. The link is down below. So, over the last few weeks, the UK and the EU have been arguing about the Northern Ireland Protocol, and the UK have gone as far as threatening to trigger Article 16 if they don't get what they want. For those of you who don't know, the Northern Ireland Protocol is the bit on the end of the Brexit deal which deals specifically with issues relating to trade that goes between Northern Ireland and Great Britain. It essentially treats Northern Ireland as part of the EU's customs territory, and therefore requires the UK to apply regulatory checks and tariffs to certain goods moving from Great Britain to Northern Ireland, to protect the integrity of the EU single market. Article 16 is basically the emergency clause in the protocol, which states that if the protocol leads to serious economic, societal or environmental difficulties that are liable to persist or to diversion of trade, then the UK or EU can unilaterally suspend application of the protocol. This didn't come as a complete surprise. It's something that the government has been flirting with for months now. In July, the UK issued a command paper setting out its proposed changes to the Northern Ireland Protocol. In the command paper, the UK argued that the protocol in its current form was causing serious economic and societal difficulties and diversion of trade. By economic and societal difficulties, the UK was referring to the consternation in Northern Ireland's unionist community against the protocol, which we detailed in this video. Essentially, unionists don't like that the protocol puts a regulatory border between Northern Ireland and the rest of the UK, because they consider it a threat to the Union. By diversion of trade, the UK was referring to the fact that Northern Ireland has become increasingly reliant on the rest of Ireland for imports. The value of Ireland's exports of goods to Northern Ireland in 2021 was up by nearly 40% this year compared to the same period in 2020, and by more than 50% on the same period in 2018. On the other hand, Northern Irish imports from Great Britain have fallen nearly 50% since the end of the transition period. Essentially, thanks to the trade barriers erected by the Northern Ireland Protocol, Northern Ireland now trades less with the UK and more with the Republic of Ireland. Now, while the UK claimed they would be justified in triggering Article 16, they also insisted that this wasn't their preferred option. Instead, the UK claimed that they wanted to negotiate a new agreement with the EU, which would supersede the protocol, in accordance with Section 8 of Article 13. According to the UK's command paper, any new agreement would need to do two things. 1. Reduce the burden on trade going between Great Britain and Northern Ireland by reducing the number of checks and the amount of things that require checks. For example, the UK suggested that medicines should be exempt from all checks. And 2. Remove the role of the European Court of Justice, which is currently responsible for enforcing major elements of the protocol. Unsurprisingly, the EU wasn't keen on these proposals, because they further threaten the integrity of the EU single market. Originally, they basically ignored the UK's proposals, but the UK wasn't having it, and continued to talk up the possibility of triggering Article 16. In September, Boris Johnson told the BBC that without a real negotiation, the UK would have to trigger Article 16. The EU then accepted the need for renegotiation, but insisted that a wholesale replacement of the protocol was unnecessary, and that they were only up for making changes of the currently existing protocol. This apparently wasn't enough for the UK. In a speech at the Conservative Party conference, David Frost insisted that, quote, tinkering around the edges wasn't going to cut it, and that without an agreed solution soon, we will need to act using the Article 16 safeguard mechanism. The EU then said it would bring forward its own proposals in mid-October, but before they'd even published their plans, the UK made it clear that they wouldn't be enough. On Saturday the 9th of October, it was reported that while the EU were happy to make concessions on checks for medicines and phytosanitary goods, they weren't going to concede on the role of the European Court of Justice in arbitration. On October 10th, David Frost was quoted in the Sunday Telegraph insisting that ECJ oversight was a, quote, red line for the UK, even though, well, he agreed to it just a few months ago. The same day, there were reports that UK civil servants had been told to workshop a trade war with the EU. The next day, on Tuesday, David Frost gave a speech in which he accused the UK Commission of being too quick to dismiss governance as a side issue and insisted that the European Court of Justice couldn't be a part of any durable settlement. The EU published their proposals on Wednesday, and as reported, they were mainly to do with checks on goods, especially chilled meats and medicines going from Great Britain to Northern Ireland. The EU proposals would cut physical checks across the Irish Sea by as much as 80%, but they didn't concede anything on the role of the ECJ. The UK said this wasn't enough, and the two sides have now agreed to a few weeks of intense negotiations to try and bash out a solution. So, what happens now? Well, the two sides are still miles apart when it comes to the role of the ECJ, and there's not much trust between them either. Things weren't helped by an interview that DUP MP Ian Paisley gave to BBC Newsnight, in which he claimed that Boris Johnson told him back in 2019 that he never intended on sticking with the Northern Ireland Protocol and presumably only signed up to it as a short-term fix to win an election.
Boris Johnson did tell me personally that he would, after agreeing to the protocol, he would sign up to changing that protocol and indeed tearing it up. That this was just for the semantics. Now that comment has been verified by another source much closer to Boris Johnson within his own government. So the fact of the matter is, I do believe that the government didn't really want this to happen to Northern Ireland, and they took a short-term bet. The trouble is, this has cost the business people of Northern Ireland £850 million, which we can't afford. So it's got to be fixed, and it's got to be fixed fast.
A possible compromise would be the arbitration framework agreed between Switzerland and the EU. Basically, any disputes between Switzerland and the EU are arbitrated by an independent body instead of the ECJ. But the ECJ plays a role in the arbitration process insofar as it gets to interpret any EU law involved in the dispute. Switzerland also play a more active role in the EU's pre-legislation process, which means they can flag any new EU laws they don't think they're going to like in advance. Nonetheless, while this is a middle ground, the UK don't want the ECJ to be involved at all, and the EU don't want to renegotiate the protocol in its entirety, because, well, the UK might just decide they don't like it in a year's time, as they've done with the current version of the protocol. If nothing comes from the negotiations, then we can expect the UK to trigger Article 16 and suspend checks across the Irish Sea sometime in the next few months, which would obviously threaten the integrity of the EU's single market, and ultimately threaten a trade war between the two. But what do you think? Is there another solution to this problem? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Also, be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram for more TLDR content. You can follow just the TLDR US socials, or go wild and follow whichever TLDR accounts interest you. Anyway, following and sharing our posts not only gets you more from us, but it really helps us out too, so thanks a lot. And of course, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified whenever we post a video. Special thanks to our Patreon backers who make videos like this one possible, and if you want to see your name at the end of the videos, you too can back us on Patreon. The link to that is in the description.